Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. It's an extraordinary and a moving experience for me to be here in Rwanda today, a country that experienced some of the worst horrors of the 20th century in recent memory, and now finds itself with a thriving social and economic life and near universal primary education. Today, Rwanda is hosting leaders representing 2/3 of the world's population, stretching from the remotest islands of the Pacific to the southern tip of Africa. Rwanda was never a British colony. It joined the Commonwealth of its own volition in 2009, recognizing the benefits that come from being part of a progressive alliance representing, as I say, 2/3 of the world's population and some of its fastest growing economies. As many British Prime Ministers before me, and of course both Her Majesty the Queen and the Prince of Wales, have recognised, there are few forums more quietly important for our nation's peace, prosperity and global influence. We benefit from the incredible Commonwealth advantage, the fertiliser I talked about yesterday, of shared language and institutions, which opens doors and cuts the cost of doing business. We want to seize those opportunities, and that's why I announced this week major new British investments in green infrastructure projects, as well as trade schemes designed to break down the barriers to doing business. This is where the UK is positioning ourselves post-Brexit, in close alliance with our European neighbours, but also deepening our ties with old friends in Asia, Africa, the Caribbean and the Pacific. More trade, more commerce brings prosperity and stability to other countries, but it also cuts costs for British consumers and opens opportunities for UK business, so jobs and growth at home as well. Unfortunately, that global prosperity and stability is being threatened by Vladimir Putin's unprovoked assault on Ukraine. Many of the countries represented here in Kigali today find themselves bearing the brunt of Putin's folly. Their populations brought closer to poverty by spiralling food and energy costs. I know, of course, and deeply understand that families, businesses in the UK have been hit hard as well by the rising costs of living. And that's why in our country, our Chancellor has introduced an unprecedented package of financial support for the most vulnerable households. But we should also recognise the challenges around the world. The UN estimates that an additional 48 million people will be pushed into acute hunger this year. That is to the point of starvation caused by climate change and post-pandemic supply shortages, but also by the war in Ukraine. I spoke to President Zelensky last week in Kiev about how we can unblock Russia's blockade of Ukraine grain exports. But today we're announcing a new £372 million package of UK aid, and that funding will support the UN's emergency response in the hardest hit countries, as well as providing cutting-edge science partnerships to look at drought-resistant crops and new agricultural techniques. And as I go tomorrow night to the G7 in Germany, we will also be looking at what more the richer countries can do to bring down global commodity prices and increase food supplies to get the world economy back on track and stick up at the same time for the freedoms in which we all believe. As the outgoing Chair in Office, you mentioned our job as Chair in Office of the Commonwealth. I just want to pay particular tribute to Rwanda for what they're doing. I think it has been a fantastic summit so far, and I wish them every possible success. I wish President Kagame every possible success. James Karahanga from the New Times.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Prime Minister. I listened to the responses you gave the UK Parliament a few days ago about the question of the genocide fugitives in your country. And I keep wondering, is justice delayed, not just denied? What's your take on that?
Yeah.
Is it even a Commonwealth value to delay justice for over 2 decades?
Thank you very much, James. And this is a case of I think it's the 4 genocidaires who are in London. And I answered a question in Parliament the other day. And look, I went to the genocide memorial yesterday, and nobody could go there without being absolutely harrowed by what happened here in Rwanda. I understand people's feelings. And so what I said to President Kagame yesterday is that I will do everything I can to try to expedite this. It is in that, so you understand, it's in the hands of the Metropolitan Police. I can't intervene directly, but I will certainly be raising it with them. And I understand why people in Rwanda feel as you do. I completely agree, and that's why I've said what I've said to you, to President Kagame. If we can do anything more to bring genocidaires to justice, then we will certainly do that. And what I've said I will do is raise it with the Metropolitan Police. And we're having, as you know, a new head of the Met very soon. Okay, I was going to knock it on the head there, but I can see. I'll take one more question from Beth, and then from you, sir.
Just to follow up on some of the other questions around the virus, if I may. You put the results down to midterm views and what we
No, I didn't say that. Yeah.
But Oliver Dowden put it down to far more to that today. He said supporters were, quote, distressed and disappointed by recent events, and he shared their feelings. He said we cannot carry on as business as usual, and someone should take responsibility. And then he said volunteers and staffers deserve better than this. I know you've dismissed suggestions you design as crazy and intend to carry on. You won the confidence vote. But I imagine some colleagues back in London might be pretty astonished watching this press conference, given that you've been asked repeatedly, you don't seem to acknowledge that you could be part of the problem. You and your conduct could be part of the problem with voters. Why won't you acknowledge that? I mean, you're safe. You've won the confidence vote.
Let me try to give you.
Prime Minister, my name is Ethan. I'm from Rwanda TV. Rwanda and the UK are working together on several development projects. As a matter of fact, the UK is the biggest donor in Rwanda. Are you satisfied with the results that you've seen so far in your few days here? And what memories do you take with you back home? And if you could as well tell us, Togo, Gabon, and Zimbabwe are requesting to rejoin the Commonwealth. Do you have the latest from the meetings you had? Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, look, I was longing to come to Rwanda. I was very sad that the summit kept being postponed. It has certainly lived up to my expectations. It's an incredible country, and clearly the product of really vaulting imagination. To take somewhere that had really been in the very depths of despair after the genocides, and then to work and work and work to create a culture, an environment that is clean, focused on so many things, so many values that I think are admirable. So, whatever the difficulties that may exist between my country and Rwanda about this or that, and of course there are going to be issues that we're going to continue to raise, and quite properly. But my overwhelming impression is of a remarkable country, and I wish I'd been able to see some of the countryside, but I haven't. On your question about Gabon and Togo, we'll just have to wait and see. And Zimbabwe, that is a matter for the Commonwealth. And I've taken 2 more. Thank you all very much. Thank you.